What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Winder's Whiteboards, where you get fitness advice from some guy who lives in his grandma's basement. Why should you listen to me? I've got a bachelor's degree in cellular and developmental biology. I'm a personal trainer. I've trained over 200 clients, and I'm training myself for my first natural bodybuilding competition coming up in June. Okay, today's video topic is going to be habits and why you might not be quite as fit as you want to be, and why other people seem to be fit more easily than others. Now, your body is just a product of the habits that you do most frequently. Okay, the habits that take up the most time are the habits that pretty much turn you into who you are. Now, I want to go over kind of the habits of somebody who's fit and somebody who's not very fit, and kind of explain the differences in the two and why it's not necessarily challenging to be fit. The challenging part is actually building the good habits. And once you're in good habits, it's really not that challenging to be fit anymore. So let's start off with the habits of a fit individual. We can kind of use myself for example. So I prioritize my sleep. That's basically the first thing I schedule every day. I try and force myself to get 8 hours of sleep because I know my body. I know I need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep so that I can recover properly and do my workouts. I'm doing a fairly intense weight training routine. I need my 8 hours of sleep. Otherwise, I don't lift as well. I don't perform at my job as well. So I prioritize my sleep, and sleep is definitely an important part of your fitness regime. Now, that takes about 56 hours out of my week. So 7 times 8, 56 hours a week. Next is my job. So I work around 40 hours a week. I train clients somewhere around 30 hours a week. I work split shifts, so my job's kind of split up into the beginning of the day, a little bit of time off where I edit all my videos, and then the end of the day. Now, my job is fairly active because I'm a personal trainer, so I'm lifting weights with people, I'm helping them out, I'm walking around, so I don't spend a lot of time sitting down very frequently. Next, especially this is more on the fitness side rather than just kind of general life, but it's general life too. Now, my diet and how well I eat is very important. It takes up a large portion of my time. I cook somewhere between 2 to 3 hours on Sundays, and then usually prepare food anywhere around an hour a day for like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then I spend time eating it. I totaled that to be somewhere around 15 to 20 hours a week, which is pretty reasonable, spread over 7 days, including time to cook and time to eat. Now, next I move on to my exercise. Exercise realistically doesn't take up a large portion of my time. I'm weight training, so I train 4 times a week, and my weight training session usually takes anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, including warm up, driving to the gym, exercising, and then cool down. So if I'm not on a day where I have a very serious workout, like say a long leg workout, then it's taking me somewhere around an hour to actually get to the gym, warm up, do my workout, and get back home. Now, on days where I'm going to be doing more cardio, like coming up here when I'm prepping for my show, then sometimes I can do cardio between 1 and 7 times a week, and that's going to bump up my hours. So I put that between 4 and 10 hours a week, which out of, I don't know exactly how many hours there are in a week, like 128 or 156, and 4 to 10 hours a week is such a small portion of that, but it's more about the consistency and the strain that you put on your body at a relative frequency that actually changes what you look like and how you feel. Now, the next thing that takes up the most amount of my time is my relax and recovery days. I spend a good amount of time stretching, foam rolling, in the sauna, and then I also spend time specifically to rest. So on Saturdays, I intentionally don't make any of my videos. I intentionally don't exercise. I take that time to recover, but it's not the entire day. It also includes my sleeping. So I put somewhere between 2 to 10 hours a week, depending on if I'm stretching every single day and how long I take on Saturdays to just do completely nothing. Now, moving on to somebody who's not quite as fit as they want to be. Probably the worst habit that everybody has nowadays is sitting way too freaking much. It makes your posture terrible, makes all your muscles tight. You restrict blood flow to different areas like your glutes from sitting on them. You put a lot of pressure on your lower back from sitting in the chair and not supporting your weight with your leg muscles and supporting your weight with your spine instead. I put in 40 hours, so I combine the work, 40 hours a week of work, plus another 7 hours a week of sitting down, watching Netflix, browsing your computer at home, times where you sit a lot more than you probably think you do. That's 112 hours a week. That's a large portion of your time. Now, the next thing is going to be poor sleep for most people. This is an average of 6 hours a day. I would say some people don't even get 6 hours a day because they stay up late in their bed, browsing their phone, then they go to sleep, they wake up, they feel like crap, they snooze their alarm, and that's not a very good recipe for being a fit, healthy individual. So poor sleep, even though it's like sleep up here is my number one, versus poor sleep's going to put you right underneath sitting all day in bad posture. Now, after that's going to be your work, because I'm assuming here that everybody that's watching this, or eventually you will be doing 40 hours of work a week, because that's a pretty standard American work week. And if your job is also sitting down or at a desk primarily, like I said, that's going to add to sitting all day long. Now, poor diet is going to be your next most important habit in terms of being healthy. Like I said earlier, the diet is really important. You don't even necessarily need to exercise to be lean and fit like you want to be. The exercise just helps you to feel better, improve how your body functions, and also help you build a little bit of muscle. Now, this includes going through a drive-through and getting food because you don't want to cook it, or grabbing things from the package in your house because packaged food is a lot easier to eat. It's typically also full of carbs and fats that aren't very good for you, then versus spending the time to actually cook your breakfast or pre-cook your meals. If you're not spending very much time thinking about what your food is, you're probably not eating very quality food. Now, next is going to be exercise. Somebody who's not fit, but they're trying to be fit, likely isn't quite doing enough exercise or isn't doing as much as they think they are. Now, when I'm putting 4 to 10 hours of exercise up here, that's 4 to 10 hours of intense exercise. That's lifting heavy or running on the treadmill, something where my heart rate is intentionally up. If you're lifting weights, say 2 times a week for realistically 30 minutes, if you're not fit, your intensity of your training program probably isn't very high. You don't necessarily need to exercise a ton. Like, you don't need to be in the gym 10 hours a week. If I just did 4 hours a week, I'm going to build plenty of muscle. But if my goal is to be fit and change what my body composition already is, like when I'm going to be doing my diet before my show, I'm going to change my body composition from something that's a little more fat to something that's significantly leaner. I'm going to have to put in more time than I would if I just had a goal of gaining muscle. So most people that I talk to, and even some of my clients, they say they're in the gym a lot, but realistically that time isn't spent dedicated to actually doing the physical activity. Yeah, you're in the gym, but are you actually working hard, or are you just there because you're supposed to be there? Now, another thing about habits is that habits are a little bit more challenging to start, but they also become automatic over time. And you also don't have to start all your habits all at one time. For example, like I didn't always sleep very well, especially in college. I spent a lot of time playing video games and studying and out with friends, and I didn't set myself a very strict sleep schedule. So that habit was built up over time from starting to work and starting to work out and needing more sleep so that I can recover. Now, work is we're not going to talk about work because everybody goes to work. And now, at part of eating well, I didn't start with having a very perfect diet. I started with, am I in a caloric surplus or am I in a caloric deficit? I didn't really care too much about the quality of my foods. Your caloric surplus, which is going to help you gain weight, gain strength, and gain some muscle, and also gain fat at the same time. You're changing your body in a more, like you're adding size and you're adding calories to your body, especially if you're working out. Now, if your goal is to lose weight, then you're going to be needing to eat a little bit less, okay? And I was on such a roll. Oh yeah, here's where I go. So with eating well, I started with just being in that surplus or just being in that deficit. I didn't have the diet that I have now. I didn't cook all my foods every single day. I started with making sure I was eating enough or making sure I wasn't eating too much. And that a way you can start with that is track your food like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Have an idea of how much you're eating so that you can know how to change your habits. If you don't have any idea how much food you're intaking and, oh, well, I'm eating healthy, I should be losing weight. That's not how it works. You need less calories than you spend in a day so that you actually lose weight. That's where eating well doesn't have to start out super strong. It can start out with one little day where you eat healthy, switching a healthy snack for somewhere where you would usually eat chips. When you're at lunch, take a bag of carrots or slice up an apple instead of having that M&Ms from the vending machine. It doesn't have to start big. I also want to move on to exercise, okay? Exercise habits can be hard to start. You also don't have to exercise 4 to 10 hours a week like I do. You can start off by just putting 1 day a week where you get into, no matter what, you're going to exercise at that period of time. Let's say you have Saturdays off, and no matter what, every single Saturday, right when you wake up, you're going to go for a jog for 20 or 30 minutes, okay? That habit is going to build into other days of the week that you jog. Potentially, you might be interested in building up strength in your legs so that you can run further. That 1 day builds and builds and builds incrementally, just like your workouts do, where you lift a little bit of weight, then you can lift more, then you can lift more. All of these start, it's like a snowball effect. A little tiny snowball, it rolls down the hill, turns into a big snowball. Okay, you just need to get the ball started. You don't need to start with a big snowball. Eventually it's going to get to where you want to be anyway. What you have to do is establish some habits that you can definitely hold on to and that you believe in, and then incrementally change little parts of your life as you go. So when I first started, I was just going 3 days a week to lift some dumbbells at the gym with my friend, and I wanted to gain some muscle, so I made sure I was eating enough food. That was basically all I did for my workout routine until I started going consistently. I got to where I wanted to sleep well so I could recover. I wanted to eat healthier food so that I would make progress more quickly. I wanted to go to the gym more frequently so that I would could gain more strength and make more progress more quickly. You don't do these things over and over and over again and not eventually want to get better at them, especially if your goal is to be fit in the first place. If your goal truly is to be fit, just starting out with some basic habits are eventually going to build on themselves so that you can be the fitness level that you want to be. With relaxing and recovering, it took me basically 5 years of consistent exercise before I really even started implementing stretching into my routine. I would warm up and I would do some dynamic stretches before my workouts, but I wouldn't spend specific time to stretch each day after my workouts, or stretch before bed, or stretch when I wake up in the morning. I can't explain to you how big of a difference and how much of an impact that had on how much low back pain I experience after I'm lifting, how tight my legs are, how much neck pain I get. You don't really realize how tight you are until you've been not tight. And I didn't realize that. It took me 5 years to find that out, and I wish I would have learned it sooner because my performance could have significantly improved. If you have lower back pain, if you have knee pain, if you have shoulder pain, if you have neck pain, a lot of those problems are caused from muscular imbalances and from muscle tightness. If you can kind of identify which muscles are tight, typically it's your front side, so your quads, your chest, your shoulders, these are all over tight, and the muscles on your backside are under tight. Okay, so your backside needs to be stronger and your chest needs to be stretched out. If you can incorporate a little bit of chest stretching for your glutes and your quads each day, or even once a week, eventually that's going to build on itself too. I didn't start out being training 4 times a week, doing cardio every single day, stretching every day, and eating right. When I first started working out, I established little tiny habits over time that built on themselves and turned themselves into a lot stronger habits. Now I don't even really have to think about going to the gym. It's just something I do. If I don't go to the gym, it feels weird. It feels like I missed out. If I don't eat right, I know in my head, hey, you just screwed up all your training that you did for the last week. You got to spend some time eating a couple days healthier to try and get yourself back on track. If it's been 3 or 4 days since I stretched, which I haven't gone that long yet without stretching, I know that I'm gonna need to stretch more so that I can recover better and not be so tight again. I didn't have all these. The point is, I didn't have all these good habits at the start. I started with small portions of my habit, and I built that into what I do today. And if you want to be fit, you need to start with 1, 2, 3, as many small habits as you can take on realistically and absolutely stick to. Put those into your routine right now. Okay, if that's 1 day a week of exercise, if that's just changing one of your snack habits, or switching out your juice for water, or stretching 1 day a week, if you can put that into your routine and make it something that you do every single time, it's going to build on itself. Trust me. That's how you're going to get more fit easily, and instead of in a long, complicated process. You just need to make small steps towards your goal, and those will build on themselves over time. Trust me. Tyson Winder, signing out.